world, I'm Maya Sundermeyer, and I would like to welcome you to the latest episode of my blog series. So far, I have been able to share my own experiences with you guys on what it's like for me to live with Aspergers syndrome. A second thing that I do is I will give my 2 cents on what's going on with autism in the media. And finally, I will give tips and advice to individuals on the spectrum and to their friends and their families and their peers and their mentors, as well as talk about things that I'm passionate about. Now, what I would like to do is mention 3 things. So first and foremost, this is Autism Awareness Month 2016, and rather than lighting up my house with blue bulbs, I am posting these videos more frequently so that I can have my voice heard during this special month. And second, I would like to mention that I am starting a series of written blogs on WordPress.com, and those are also known as Hello World with Maya. And rather than me talking about my own experiences, I am reading specific articles and other types of information and posting those in a more scholarly format. And finally, what I would like to do is give a shout out to a video through Autism Live. And it is an interview with Dr. Temple Grandin and one of the anchors of Autism Live. And I would like to mention that she was promoting her book, The Loving Push, which is all about her own experiences of her mother getting her out into the community and, getting her to live more independently and go on to college and not sit in her room and rock the rest of her life and or work in a sheltered workshop. And what I would like to do now is mention that I'm not only giving my 2 cents on what's going on with autism in the media, but I'm also responding to a posting through wrongplanet.net in the general autism discussion message boards. And what they did was somebody posted that video, which I posted right here on YouTube, and they wanted to get the opinions of others in terms of Temple's beliefs on things. And sad to say, majority of them were talking about how Temple Grandin seemed to be a little more unrealistic than usual, and they started talking about their struggles with holding down a job and other people not pointing them in the direction where they want to go. And others seem to talk about and say that there are people who can and people who can't, or the glass is half empty and the glass is half full. And they're also talking about the video game aspect because Dr. Temple Grandin, as well as myself, would both agree that there are too many kids sitting at home in their basement, living off the government, playing video games all day long, rather than going out and working in the community because they're scared. And they got mad at that comment because life has knocked them down so many times. And they're talking about how they can't do it. And I wanted to give my 2 cents on both ends. So first and foremost, for those of you that feel that way, I am sorry that you had other things happen to you. And I'm sorry that you have serious sensory issues. But it seems that a lot of you like to sit at home in your little comfort zone because it feels good. And yes, video games can be a good source of relief, but unfortunately, I think there are too many people that are looking at autism as if it's this terrible disease and that everybody who has it is disabled in every single area possible. And they've been taught to look at their deficits. And I think that's part of the problem. And secondly, like Temple had talked about, there are too many mothers today that want to coddle their children. And I will mention that I have run into several moms that have wanted to coddle their kids, and they have held them back, and they're not doing anything for them, or they're not doing them any big favors. They're letting their kid go to pot, sit in their room and play video games, and then when they do go out and try to find a job, they can't do it, and that makes them run back to their room. Or if somebody reprimands them on something, they turn around and run to this or that, like these video games. And as far as people who can't do it, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm sorry that you guys feel a certain way and that Temple might be unrealistic. Unfortunately, you have to remember that Dr. Temple Grandin was raised in a very different era when you were, when autism was just beginning to get discovered, and a majority of people on the spectrum were thrown into institutions. But Mrs. Grandin or slash Mrs. Cutler decided to come up with a new solution for her daughter rather than putting her into an institution and completely moving on with her life. Rather, she decided to give her daughter a chance. And then the values back then were very different than they are now. Now, my aunt was also raised in the 50s, and she was taught the very same things that Temple Grandin was. And because of that, I ended up learning some of those values, and I think it really helped me get to where I am today. Now, if you have any questions or comments, please be sure to state below, and also do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and be sure to check out my written blogs on WordPress.com. Until next time, I'm Maya Sundermeyer.